Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the hundreds and hundreds of B. Taylor subscribers. Now, Sergey Kovalev is coming off of a third-round knockout on Saturday night. Pretty easy fight for him, fulfilled the mandatory. But Sergey Kovalev's at a point now in the light heavyweight division where there's not a ton of challengers. He's kind of claimed that division, and it's pretty easy for him unless Adonis Stevenson steps up and fights him, which I heard he might if HBO offers enough money. He'll do that, but until that happens, he's really the kingpin of 175, the light heavyweight division, and it's no reason for any other fights to be made there from a business standpoint, unless he's fulfilling mandatories. So with that being said, Sergey Kovalev's a true champion, and when I say true champion, I know I say that with a lot of fighters, but when I say Sergey Kovalev is a true champion, he's a true champion in the purest sense of that word, meaning that in boxing with so much politics and fighters being afraid to go into other fighters' backyards, he's not afraid to do that. He'll go into your backyard, he'll knock you out in your backyard, he'll beat you in your backyard, and he'll make you respect him in your backyard. And he's done that his whole career. He doesn't necessarily have a home field advantage or a home field advantage like that. Guys like Danny Garcia have him, going to Brooklyn, or a guy like Mayweather in Vegas, or Terrence Crawford in Omaha, Nebraska. He doesn't have that. So for him to be doing what he's doing, it speaks volumes to the fighter he is. And he's pulling no punches. He wants big fights. He wants to fight at a pay-per-view level. And he recently came out after his fight on Saturday, and he said that hey, he'd love to fight Andre Ward on pay-per-view, and that's what he wants. So what he said, I'll find the quotes. He said the following. He basically said that if he when he makes his pay-per-view debut and Kathy Duva main events take him to that level, that he wants his opponent to be Andre Ward, and that would be a super fight, a mega fight, and one of the few fights in boxing that I actually be willing to pay for, because obviously Kovalev, the best light heavyweight in the world, Andre Ward, the best super middleweight in the world. The fight makes sense. Why not do it? But I'll read you this quote from BoxingScene.com. Kovalev states the following. He says, "I want to fight on a pay-per-view level. Right now, there aren't the right opponents, but if I was to fight Andre Ward, that would be the right opponent to make a pay-per-view. That's where I'm trying to get to." That's what he said. Now, Andre Ward, he's coming off of a win against Paul Smith. And I believe that night he came in, his weight that night was 171.5 pounds. Kovalev on his fight on Saturday, he came in at 174.5 pounds. So only talking about a 3-pound difference. Andre Ward, he's been fighting at heavier weights. He's been fighting the last two fights, against Paul Smith, 171.5. That was the highest he's ever fought since 2009. So Andre Ward is gonna that'd be a true test for him. Andre Ward is definitely somebody who needs a big fight like this. Although and like I said, boxing is a complex sport, and it takes a while to understand how a lot of these things work. But Andre Ward, skills-wise, in terms of skills, he's pound for pound the best there is in the world. But in terms of being a pay-per-view attraction, of all the A-level fighters there are in boxing, he's probably the least. He's probably not a pay-per-view attraction at all. He has a hard time selling tickets. A lot of the tickets at his last fight, although it was sold out, were given away, and it's a shame. But when you fight a guy like Sergey Kovalev, that's a fight people should tune in to see, and that's a fight that is pay-per-view worthy, and that's a fight that Ward needs in his career. And not stepping away from the business part of it for a second, going into what it would do if he beat Sergey Kovalev. Are you serious? You're already the best super middleweight in the world. You already have names like Carl Froch on your resume. You beat Chad Dawson. You beat Arthur Abram. You beat Mikhail Kessler. You won the Super 6. Andre Ward has already had a great career. If he were to retire right now, he'd go to the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's had a great career. But if you beat Sergey Kovalev, making the Hall of Fame is one thing. There's plenty of Hall of Famers, but to beat Sergey Kovalev, that's the stuff of legend. You beat Sergey Kovalev sensationally, like he has the skills to do. That's what makes you a legend. And vice versa. If Kovalev is to go into that ring and knock out Andre Ward, that would say a lot about him. You beat Bernard Hopkins, you beat Andre Ward, and take his O away. I mean, that while they're both still undefeated, barring any crazy upsets happening against them in the near future, barring any of that, I would like to see this fight take place while they're both still undefeated, while they're both still relatively not young, because I know Kovalev's in his 30s, he's 32. Andre Ward is approaching his 30s. Andre Ward is Andre Ward is 31 himself, so they're both about the same age. So with that being said, I hope the fight happens soon, because both of them need a huge super fight. They're both the best in the divisions. The weight thing would not be an incredibly hard thing to do. Andre Ward can either move up or Sergey can come down, but it's not too much. They can either catch weight. Andre Ward traditionally fights in the 168 range, 168. Kovalev usually fights around 175. They can meet at 170, make it a catch weight. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But that'd be a great fight. I'd love to see it happen. Hopefully, and the thing when it comes to them is I know from a political standpoint it won't be too hard, because a lot of times in boxing, because and this is actually pretty interesting. This is what I find interesting about Kovalev Ward. In terms of Kovalev Ward, a lot of fighters in boxing are either represented by Bob Arum or Al Heyman or Golden Boy. One of those three. Well, it's different with these two guys. You got Andre Ward, who's represented by Rock Nation Sports, and then you got Sergey Kovalev, who's represented by Main Events. So there's no Heyman, there's no Arum, there's no Golden Boy. Now, does that necessarily mean less politics? I think so. I think it does mean less politics, because Kathy Duba's just gonna want to fight on HBO, and I'm sure Andre Ward would want to fight on HBO. So I don't think that'd be much of a problem. And plus, I know Jay-Z's trying to get his footing in the boxing game, and he's done I guess a solid job so far. With getting Andre Ward a fight on network television, even though it wasn't like the ratings weren't high. I know they were pretty low actually. But either way, I know the politics behind this fight won't be as bad as other fights, because there's no Al Heyman involved and there's no Bob Arum. So there's that. So I think of all the super fights that I would like to see in boxing, when you talk about Cotto Canelo, you talk about Golovkin and Golovkin Cotto, Golovkin Canelo. Just things like that. Terrence Crawford versus, this is another fight I want to see. That, Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia was one I want to see. Mayweather, Tim Bradley is another fight I've always wanted to see. Of all the super fights that could be made that I like to see, that are super fights in my eyes, this is probably the easiest one to make, just because both guys are willing, or seem to be willing, to want a super fight. And both guys are not represented by Al Heyman or Bob Arum, so that's kind of like, it leads me to believe that there would be less politics involved. I know boxing is a sport all about politics behind the scenes, but it just leads me to believe that. So hey, Kovalev's put it out there. Andre Ward can choose to respond, not respond, but whatever. It's just something to think about. If the fight ever did happen, I don't want to make no predictions, because I don't know what's gonna happen if that fight ever does happen. Things change all the time, so you don't want to make no predictions. But it'd definitely be a great fight to see. You got Kovalev, who's knocking everybody out, and is getting better and better with every single fight. And then you got Andre Ward, who, not now, but when he was active, was the pound for pound #1 best fighter in the sport, hands down. I know people are gonna say Mayweather, but Andre Ward was right there with Mayweather. Just to beat the guys he beat in the Super Six, to win the Super Six, put all those names on his resume. Pound for pound #1. So hopefully Andre Ward can stay active, make the fight happen, and it does a lot for both of these guys, especially Sergey Kovalev. You beat a guy, Bernard Hopkins, who's an all-time great, and then if you beat Andre Ward, to take his O away. You've carved yourself as a legend in this sport. So make it happen. It benefits both fighters. Monetarily, it benefits them. Career-wise, in the ring, whoever wins, it'll benefit them in a very huge way. And I know it's a fight that the fans wouldn't mind seeing. So let me know what you guys think. Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward. Do you want to see it? Do you not want to see it? Why or why not? Leave your comments down below and take the time to subscribe. Take care, guys.